Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Monday afternoon. It's almost 3 o'clock. Um, I was thinking about streaming today, and then I ended up playing Metaphor for way too long. Um, and I don't know. I got a lot of thoughts on my mind. The Game Awards just announced their nominations, their nominees. Um, for the Game Awards, and I was looking at them, and I have some thoughts, and I wanted to put them in video form. And I thought about doing this tomorrow because I have more people that watch tomorrow, but I should stream more. But when I stream on times that are irregular, I don't get people that watch. But also, what does it matter? I'm just a little guy, and all sorts of anxieties that led to fuck it, just fucking do something. So here I am doing something. Um, Hey, what's up, Pickles? Fucking the General and McDonald's. I definitely get a lot of General commercials. How you doing? I'm glad you're here. Feel free to chime in as I go through these things. So yeah, the Game Awards. It's really funny when I Googled the Game Awards. Oh, good, you're out of ad hell. Welcome. We're gonna chat about the Game Awards. Please feel free to chime in. Um, so when I first Googled the Game Awards, this link to the Game Awards website didn't even show up. It was just like Twitter and Wikipedia, and I'm like, how fucking bad is your SEO that the first thing is not a link to your website for your Game Awards? That was a few hours ago, and I guess enough people have clicked that we can actually see it now, so I don't have to go to their Twitter and then click on the link there and do a bunch of bullshit. Um, yeah, Mr. Jeff, I'm gonna copyright fucking yeah, no, you can't have my cookies. I'm gonna copyright Game Awards Keeley. Um so yeah, Game Awards, the 10th annual. No, I don't want to subscribe. Um the Game Awards is a weird thing. I Everybody, myself included, makes fun of the Game Awards and how stupid and weird and sometimes very sexist and very out of touch they are with the world. And then we all go and watch the Game Awards and talk about the Game Awards and give mind share to the Game Awards. And it's a weird catch 22 of I want to talk about it and make fun of it, and doing so gives it, puts it in the public eye. You just got to kind of pick your battles and decide what you're going to do. I'm going to play the role of the hypocrite today. Um, I think it's nice that video games have an award show. Do they need an Oscars? No, nothing needs an Oscars. Not even fucking Oscars need an Oscars, but we got something. We got something to talk about. So let's talk about it. And let's just go straight to the nominees. Not actually going to sign in or do any voting, but yeah, let's just go on down the list kind of in reverse order to how they're going to be shown. So, Game of the Year. Thanks for making it so I can't have everything in one line, by the way, guys. Really like that. Can I? Oh, we can zoom this out. Hallelujah. Okay. We can get it all on a line. So, the Game of the Year. Um, for those of you unaware, Jeff Keighley tweeted or did something to say, hey, DLC and remakes and remasters and collections of old games can be in the Game Awards. And you'll see that he listed all of those things because every single one of those things can be listed. So let's just jump straight to the elephant in the room. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is not a full game. It is a DLC for a full game. The full game, Elden Ring, is fucking massive. It's like 3 games in a fucking row. Shadow of the Erdtree, just this piece of DLC, could absolutely qualify as its own game. If they released this as a standalone game for $40 to $60, I'd have bought it, and I'd have been very happy to buy it, and I think a lot of people share that sentiment. I don't like the precedent of DLC being in a Game of the Year category, But if you're gonna let any DLC in, I guess Shadow of the Erdtree is probably the one. So video games are weird. It's like they put a game's worth of effort into this. You know, why shouldn't it be recognized as such? But simultaneously, like, you would never call a Final Fantasy XIV expansion a game of the year, even though that's also got like a game's worth of effort put into it. It's, at the end of the day, it's all kind of fucking arbitrary. I mean, way back in the day when the Oscars did the Oscar for special effects back in 1980 whatever, they disqualified Tron because it used too much computer graphics and was cheating. Funny how the turntables. So I don't know. It's, on the one hand, I see this becoming a slippery slope. On the other hand, I know that's a fallacy for a reason. But I guess we got to start somewhere, and you know what? Shadow of the Erdtree is where we can start. This is probably going to win. This is probably going to win damn near every category it's nominated in. Regardless, Astrobot, you saw me stream that. I really like Astrobot. Is Astrobot Game of the Year? Maybe. It's a really good game. It's very colorful. It's very fun. It's certainly a game that is good of the year. Yeah, I think it certainly deserves this shot, and I'm glad that it's here. Balatro, I was just watching Jabroni Mike, and he is livid that Balatro is in Game of the Year because he's terrible at poker. Hey, what's up, Todd? How you doing? I don't see any reason why Balatro shouldn't be on this list. I think it's a fantastic game. I think a man or a group of people took the concept of poker and turned it into one hell of a game. And they managed to put it on phones in this same year. Would like to get to win only on the precedent of I don't need to see that man's pores, which took bloodshed of 5 people to make. There's something to be said for the simplicity of Balatro, and maybe we don't need video games to look so good and cost so much. But we're not here to talk about the video game industry. This is the Game Awards. We just talk about video games and ignore the industry. Black Myth Wukong. I have not played Black Myth Wukong yet. It is a game on my list of games I'd like to play, but games that I don't want to pay $70 to play. Maybe it'll go on sale by the time the Game Awards happen. Probably. That usually happens. I hear it's a fine video game, a game I would probably enjoy. A lot of people like it, a lot of people dislike it. I look at this lineup and I don't think there's a chance in hell it gets Game of the Year, but we'll see. Shadow of the Erdtree we already talked about. I think this wins. That is not because I want it to win. That is because these games. So the Game Awards has voting. And that's fine. You can vote. I think that might even tilt things a little bit. We do not decide what wins these. There is a panel of game reviewers from across the game industry. You know how vast that is. Jeff Gersman, I know, is one of them. He talks about the voting process. They basically just like send you a card and be like, hey, mark off what you think. And they don't give a whole... maybe they do give you some like, hey, put some stuff down that you think should have this. They give you a little bit of direction, and then they sort of collate, you know, what got the most picks from the panel of however many people. It's a weird, interesting process, but I guess enough people put down Elden Ring. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's another one that I streamed this year. I like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think it's certainly got its flaws. It is quite long. Some might even say a bit bloated. And I don't think I can entirely disagree. The farther away I get from the ending of that game, the more and more I like it. Spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You know, I played it. If you haven't seen it, you know, pause for a couple of minutes. There was a lot of speculation about how they were going to handle Aerith dying in this game. It was the question for the last 4 years. I had no faith that they would do it well and gracefully. I thought for sure they were going to subvert everyone's expectations again and kill Cloud or someone else. What ended up happening is not something that I expected to happen. I don't think there were many people who expected it to happen. They both killed Aerith and didn't kill Aerith, and there's some multiverse shenanigans in there. Which, if you're tired of multiverses, sorry, that's the flavor of the decade. But I actually really like that. It was genuinely surprising when I saw it, and the more I think about it, the more, look, why don't we just do both? They'll never suspect that we'll do both. I think it ended up being a very smart way to handle that, and I'm interested to see how they expand upon it in the final chapter. I think that final chapter has a lot of shit to live up to.
Click the little heart button.
Holy shit, Red, how you doing? Thanks for coming by, buddy. Thought you'd be busy modding for people. What's up? Talking about Game Awards. I really like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I do not think it is Game of the Year. It's got a few too many problems. How have you never been here before? You should be ashamed of... Nah, I don't like being that person. I don't like being that person that even as a joke, like, shames people for not watching me and not subbing and all that weird, gross shit. I'm genuinely happy you're here, first time or otherwise. Look at this man with 3 monitors. I've been considering putting up a 3rd monitor for no other reason than because I can. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII, I like the ending. It's a little too much padding. I don't think it deserves Game of the Year. Metaphor ReFantazio, that's a game I'm playing right now. I was playing it mere hours ago. If you like Persona, go play Metaphor. It's really good. It is a really good Persona game that doesn't have the Persona name. It's by the same people. It's by Atlas. I'm not entirely sure who Studio Zero is, if they've worked on Persona before. But it is very stylish. It plays incredibly well. Yeah, we don't need P6 anymore, that's for sure. The story is really interesting. The world is very interesting. It takes previous combat and gameplay and mechanical stuff from Persona and SMT, and in my opinion improves upon them fucking tenfold. Everything about this game is fantastic. But is it Game of the Year? That there are certainly people who would say that, and despite me gushing about it, I'm not sure I could say that it is. Even with if Elden Ring were off the table, I think I would take an Astrobot or even a Balatro above Metaphor, but that is not to say that it is by any means a bad game. It is a fantastic JRPG. It is a game that you should play if you like JRPGs. Go play it. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag will take sponsorships though. Hey, what's up, Candle? Yeah, it is an unexpected stream. I just decided to do a stream today. I figured, what the hey, either people show up or I just basically do a one-man podcast. So that's enough about Game of the Year. Let's move on to the next category. I clicked the thing, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I don't like... Oh, it's all horrible. Oh no, I'm fucking it up. It's all bad. Next. Okay. Best game direction. This is always a weird... This always felt like a... Hey, what's the runner-up for Game of the Year award? Let's give that guy this one. Award for Outstanding Creative Vision and Innovation in Game Direction and Design. And yes, it is almost always this year included the same guys. If we want to try and be objective, which is not something that video games ever really do. I mean, what's the direction on Astrobot? Make a fun platformer. I'm down with that. What's the direction on Balatro? What if we made poker roguelike? I'm down with that. What's the direction on Wukong? What if Dark Soul Monkey Chinese history? What's the direction on Shadow of the Erd Tree? What if we did more Elden Ring? Oh my god, fuck off. I'm so sorry about that. I got a call. I should have muted that thing. Yeah, what's the direction on Shadow of the Erd Tree? What if we did more Elden Ring? What's the direction on Final Fantasy VII? Now there's a game with a direction. Is it a good direction? Is it the right direction? I'm not entirely sure, but they certainly picked a fucking direction. Metaphor. Again, there's a game with a direction. What if we did Persona in a more fantasy style world? I don't know. I think maybe Metaphor is a what if Batman was a dad? What if Batman was a dad? Hey, that's me. I'm Batman Dad. Go play Metaphor. Um I don't think Final Fantasy gets best direction just because there's so much padding in the game. Um I know why there's so much padding in the game. It's because that's kind of what people expect from quote unquote triple A games these days. But I really wish there was a bit less of it. Um, a lot of it is actually really good, really fun padding, but yeah, I don't know about that. Um, yeah, I mean, Astrobot has a really good direction. You know, the direction was what if we made a fun ass game. So I I think it's kind of tied between Metaphor and Astrobot. I think if I had to give it to one, maybe it would end up being Metaphor. Um, think about Kate Sith's section and say that again. Like I said, some of it's good, some of it is horseshit, and sadly, Kate Sith falls into the horseshit pile. Um, yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, I think I might give best direction to Metaphor. I Do you people know how fucking easy it is to just make a sequel to the thing that's already popular? I'm very happy that they chose not to do that. Were they told to do that? Were they chose? I don't know. I couldn't tell you if it was a choice or not. But regardless, a Persona without Persona was made, and I think it deserves a lot of praise for that. And I think it did a really good job for their first outing in a pretty much wholly owned and unique world. And I think that's worth a game direction award. Moving on to best narrative. Now I think for the rest of these is pretty much only going to be 5 nominees. Um it's its outstanding story. It's narrative. Um Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Does that make it a good story? I'm leaning more towards no than I am yes. I it is a remake. Funnily enough, it's a lot closer to the original than the previous one was. And it's an interesting story. It goes places. I don't know if it's story of the year. Um Now for an opinion that may be a hot tamale. Um I don't think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has a good story. I think it is a great game. I played that game at the beginning of the year. It's been the year of fucking JRPGs, let me tell you. I enjoyed playing it very much. I happily spent 100 or so hours on it. The story kind of sucked. And I think partially it sucks because it splits the difference between Kiryu and not Kiryu. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. What was your name again? Ichiban? Thank God. It Look, I am not someone who has played any Yakuza game that Ichiban was not the star of. I have no love in my heart. Please don't tell. Please don't tell. Um I have no love in my heart for Kiryu. He is a good character. I have heard of his exploits. I know what he is about for the most part. I understand it. But he's not my Yakuza. Ichiban is. And to see Ichiban be forced to share half his fucking game with Kiryu, the man who is supposed to be dead, kind of sucked. I felt like the man got robbed, especially after the previous game, Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon, was so good and had such a good story and was such a good first iteration for Ichiban to be like, okay, good job, kid. You get half a game next time. Wait, didn't Kiryu get his own game like 2 months ago? Shut up, you get half a game. I think that really fucking sucks, and I think Ichiban deserves better. And Kiryu can have his own fucking series. How about that? I think the integration is clunky. I don't think the two locales, I don't think they mesh well enough in terms of going back and forth and seeing how one thing affects the other. I think it's kind of a jumbled mess. And that's my fucking Like a Dragon soapbox. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Metaphor so far has a really strong, good narrative. It is a very interesting story. You know, it's at its base, you've heard the story before. The king's dead. There's a new king. And then some stuff happens. And not only the overall narrative, but most of the side characters' stories are all very interesting, much like a Persona. And I'm trying not to spoil too much, which is a problem for discussing best narrative of something. But so far it's really good. I'm not quite at the end. I've got maybe 10, 15 more hours left in the game to see if it sticks the landing. I've heard some people say that it does. I've heard some people say that it doesn't. So I'm really interested to see how it ends. But so far, I think this is my pick for narrative of the year. What can I say about Hellblade Senua's Saga? Nothing, because I didn't play it. It's my understanding that the first game was very good and had a very good narrative and portrayed mental illness very faithfully. And it is also my understanding that the sequel does none of those things. Sorry, that's all I got. I didn't play it and I have no plan to. Silent Hill 2. This is where the remakes come into we're nominating remakes. And I think this, even if there was no official, hey, we're going to nominate remakes thing, I think Silent Hill 2 deserves to be on these lists. It deserves to be considered Game of the Year because a lot of effort was put into this game to make it something that is not just a repeat of a 22-year-old game. I've said this before and I want to say it again. I am sorry, Bloober team. I am sorry. I had literally no faith in you whatsoever. I had seen your previous works. I thought they were not very good. I did not think Silent Hill 2 would be good at all. I thought it would be dog shit. And though I haven't played it myself yet, I've watched a couple different streamers play it, and I have been proven wrong. This is a very good game. This is a game worthy of praise. That said, I don't think best narrative it is. I'd say even the original Silent Hill 2 would not be getting best narrative in this or possibly any year. It's a good narrative. It's an interesting narrative. Is it the best narrative? I really don't think so. So yeah, metaphor for narrative in my opinion. Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Very similar list. Astrobot, in my opinion, probably. It looks fantastic. Everything is so bright and like Elden Ring has a color palette that it decided on 4 years ago, and Erdtree doesn't do much to shake that up. But it and Wukong are not games I would call artistically creative and maybe technical. But I just think they're a little too realistic, and I think we need to be rewarding some things that are not. Look, we haven't fully reverted to the early 2000s piss filter, and God in heaven, please don't let that happen. We need some color, god damn it, and Astrobot uses them. Wukong certainly is pretty. There's a lot of interesting creatures in it. How loyal are they to ancient Chinese lore and aesthetics? I don't know. I'm not Chinese. I have no real understanding of that culture. I'm sorry. Stuff certainly looks cool, but we're done with realism for a little bit. Shadow of the Erdtree looks great. There's some really cool monsters. There's some really cool places. There's some really cool vistas. It's more Elden Ring. I don't think like I said, I think Astrobot deserves this. Metaphor. Metaphor's a game that looks really cool. It's slightly realistic. It's slightly stylized. There's a lot of very interesting creature designs. There's a lot of cool places that you go to. But I do think the color palette is a bit lacking. And I'm sorry to say I have not played Neva. There's a lot of jokes going around about what Neva sounds like. I remember seeing this game in a PlayStation Direct or maybe a Nintendo Direct. It doesn't seem like my thing, and I'm sorry to say I have not seen anything to change my mind, nor have I seen a single human being talk about this game. I'm very sorry to the people who worked so hard on it, but you haven't grabbed me, and I don't think you've grabbed a lot of people, and I'm sorry to say that's a big part of video games, and any media really, is being able to grab people, and boy don't I know it. Best score in music. This is an interesting one. Here's where we fight it out a little bit. Astrobot's got some great music. It's got some great tracks. Final Fantasy VII has like 17 fucking million tracks, and a lot of them are really good, and some of them are from the previous game, but some of them are brand new. And if you're gonna throw your whole ass into something, the music in a Final Fantasy is probably it. It's good. It's real good. I'm not super in love with the title track for Final Fantasy VII, if I'll be completely honest with you. But there's a lot of stuff in it that I do like. I'm going to have another contentious opinion now. I don't think the music in Metaphor is very good. There are very few tracks in this game that I like, and for a game from the people that brought us Persona motherfucking 5 to put out what I consider to be a wet fart of a soundtrack is all the more damning. There are people who will absolutely send me death threats if they hear the words that I'm saying. A, don't do that. B, I'm sorry. I have listened to the combat track. I have listened to the academia track. I have listened to everything in this game. There is so far one track that I have found that I genuinely like, and it took 80 fucking hours to get there. I'm sorry. I don't know if whoever was on Persona 5 was on fucking vacation, or they just really wanted to try something new. I don't like it. I do not like it. Silent Hill 2, I'm sorry to say, I watched some streamers play you and I didn't listen to your music very, very, very much. I have not heard anyone praise you for your music. So, maybe that's all you need to know. Stellar Blade, I know one guy who's played it. He has never talked to me about the music. That's kind of all I got to say. You thought that was your email? No, that was my dad sending me memes because my dad sends me memes. So yeah, I think Final Fantasy for music with maybe Astrobot as a second. Best audio design. Now this is, you look at this and you might think, hey, what the hell's the difference between music and audio design? And on the one hand, they're very similar. On the other hand, it's more about sound effects. It's more about ambience. It's about using that music and that sound. And I think it genuinely sucks that Metaphor is not here because I feel like it does a better job with its sound design. I think its music fits its location and its atmosphere very well. I just don't like it. I think it was very well designed. So it's a shame it's not here. Astrobot, it has a lot of cool sound design. Some of it borrows from Astro's Playroom. Some of it is brand new. But it, especially using the little speaker on the PS5 controller, it is very fun to walk around different things and hear your little footsteps change and hear all of the ambiance and whatnot. I think it's good. Call of Duty, I'm sorry to say I have not played a Call of Duty since the original Modern Warfare 2, which is at least 20 years old now, I believe. Jesus Christ, I'm old. I've never been a person who gives a shit about what a gun sounds like. I know that there are a lot of people who are the opposite of that, and maybe it's good. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone say so, but I'm certainly not listening to a lot of Black Ops commentary, so who's to say I'm the definitive fucking guy on that? Final Fantasy VII. Again, music is great. Sound design, it's probably fine. I don't remember a whole lot of it being that significant to me. So maybe it's fine. Maybe I give it to Astrobot just because I played that more recently, and that's not necessarily fair, but, what is? Hellblade, please see previous Hellblade discussion. Silent Hill 2, it sure seems spooky. It seems scary. Maybe Silent Hill 2 gets it. I haven't focused on the sound design enough for that, so maybe we just give it to Astrobot because that's the only one that I actually paid attention to. Sorry. They're not all going to have deep commentary. Would you look at those white women? So, best performance. Awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture. Yuffie spoke disqualified. So, I only know one of these people for certain. Brianna White is the voice of Aeris. I'm going to say Aeris. That's the hill I will die on in Final Fantasy VII. And I think she did a good job. It's a game with a lot of characters and a lot of acting. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, for all intents and purposes, Aeris' game. And I think Brianna did a fantastic job, especially there at the end, when she's got to die. I'm sorry to say, Hannah, I don't know who you are in Life is Strange Double Exposure. Why don't we go look it up right now? Hannah, are you Max? Are you the other one? You're in movies. You are Max. Sorry, I haven't played Life is Strange, period. That's the end of that sentence. I'm sure her work is good. From what I saw of the first one, it was pretty good. But I don't have much firsthand knowledge. Humberly Gonzalez is not a name I was expecting to read ever. I assume she is the main character of Star Wars Outlaws, a game I've only seen one man talk about. I'm sure she does a fine job, but people are very down on Star Wars right now, so I'm sorry, Humberly, you're probably not getting this one. Luke Roberts. Fun fact, in the original thing I read, it listed his name as Like Roberts, and I was very confused as to who the hell names their kid Like. I'm guessing he is James. Yeah, he is James, and I think he does a really good job of voicing James Sunderland. It's say what you will about the original guy for Silent Hill 2, whose name I forget. He did a good job of being a confused man with many demons, but I I don't know if that original performance is due to his sort of direction, which I've heard was rather directionless, um, or his own acting merit. I couldn't say, but I think Luke here does a really good job with the sort of more. I don't want to call it direct direction, but it's. I feel like they had a tighter focus on what they wanted all of the actors to do, and maybe that's just a sign of the times more than it is the care that was put into the Silent Hill 2 remake, but Luke did a good job. I could certainly see him winning this. And then Melina Jurgens, I hope I'm saying that. Melina Jurgens, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm going to guess that you are the main character in Hellblade. Senua, if you will. If you will. That's... there we go. That's mocap, ladies and gentlemen. Born in Germany, huh? You don't say. Senua, yeah, the main character. Again, I heard your work was fantastic in the first game. I have not heard the same thing about the second game. Gonna asterisk, this is not to undermine their efforts, just shocked moment. It's look, not everyone is gonna know everybody, every game, everything in the industry. It's okay to be like, who are you? I think as long as we're not too mean about that, it is okay to genuinely be like, who are you? Humberly Gonzalez was my who are you? What were you? Oh, okay. Star Wars, that game I've heard one person talk about. I'm sorry. It's not that is not a anything to do with your work. It's just a game that I have little knowledge of. So yeah, personally I would give it to Brianna. I think Luke is certainly in the running. We'll see. Innovation in accessibility. Now this is I feel like they've renamed this one a couple times. In previous years, this was a lot more clear cut, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. I am not overly familiar with the accessibility options in any of these games. Previously, I have seen Sony games put a lot of work. Say what you will about The Last of Us 2. That game has a shitload of accessibility options. Brand fucking new, groundbreaking shit no one had thought to put in a video game before. I feel like we're kind of on the other side of a hill of it is getting harder and harder to truly innovate in this space. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, maybe we've got a lot of accessibility stuff now, more so than we had even 5 years ago. So I am not sure which one of these is deserving of this because I'm just not very familiar with any of them. But I think it is a very good award and I'm glad that it's here. And I hope that whoever wins it deserves it. Black Ops Let You Turn Blood Tinnitus Sounds Off gets a vote. See, that's a great feature. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to turn that stuff off, especially if you already have tinnitus. So, you know, maybe Black Ops 6 deserves it. I don't know. I really don't. I am unfamiliar with the accessibility options for any of these games. Maybe if I could do this for a living, I would be, but hey, dreams and all that. Games for Impact. This has always been a. I wish they would change the impact on the name of this. I wish they would be more direct about what it's about. But I feel like the vagueness is part of it at this point. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Most wokest game. Some people certainly feel that way. I not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I am a lot more involved in video games than a lot of people looking at this, and I'm actually at least somewhat familiar with most of the titles on this list. Horn tooting over. That said, I have no idea what the hell Closer the Distance is. I have never heard of you. I have never heard anyone talk about you. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a very good, well-meaning game. Indica, on the other hand, is a game I have heard people play. It's a game I thought about playing at one point, but haven't just because time and money. But I hear it's a very interesting game. Please see my previous comments on Neva. Life is Strange, Double Exposure. It's really funny how what is Indica? It is a game where you play as a like Eastern European woman in a not religious wherever nuns go. I forget what that word is. You work as an Eastern European nun, and let's just say being an Eastern European woman in time period, bad things happen. And Abby, yeah. There may also be some demons involved. I'm not entirely sure about the story because I kind of want to experience it for myself at one point, but I have heard a lot of people praise it. Going back to Life is Strange, it's really funny how they had a super cool, interesting idea for powers in the first game, and then every single fucking game after that has been worse and worse in terms of cool shit you can do. It's more multiverse stuff. I don't know anything about the actual gameplay or the story. I don't think it's been out very long. I think it's one of the newer things on this list, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it so far. I've said it before. I heard a lot of people praise Hellblade 1. I have heard far fewer people praise Hellblade 2. Tales of Kenzera Zao is a game that I played. I think I played a demo of it on stream. It was free on PlayStation some months ago, and I tried to play it there, and that lasted maybe an hour or two. I need to be very careful about the words that I choose. I don't like the protagonist. I don't like the way the protagonist is written. I understand why they act the way they do, and I'm pretty sure I can see the story they're trying to tell. And I wish they had done something more interesting. I know this game is very personal to the person who wrote it. They announced it at the Game Awards a few years ago, I believe. And maybe that is exactly how he wanted it to be, and that's great. It's not a game for me. Yeah, it's the one that takes place. I don't know if it takes place in real Africa or like pseudo Africa. There is some influence for it to be one way or the other. But yes, it's a Metroidvania. I think the combat is very lacking. Yeah, it's not for me. If I would probably give this one to Indica because it's the one I've heard the most praise for, but Zao's the only one I've played, and I don't think it deserves it. Next up, best ongoing game. Best game that wasn't released this year. I can't say I've heard a lot of praise for Helldivers 2. We just jump right to the end for Destiny 2. I think I've heard some people say some nice things about Destiny 2 these days, but I've heard nothing or contempt for what has happened. I think that game has had a roller coaster of development, and I think it's time for Destiny 3. We'll see if that happens before the studio folds or is fully absorbed into Sony. Who can say? I hear people like Diablo 4. I own a copy of Diablo 4. I played it for all of 10 minutes and then I stopped. I've never been a big Diablo fan despite liking dungeon crawlers. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard overwhelming praise for Diablo. Aren't 3 out of 5 of these big yikes? Yeah, in more ways than one. Um, Final Fantasy 14. I hear it's good. I've never heard. Well, actually, that's a lie. This is the first year I've heard people complain about Final Fantasy 14. The latest expansion seems to be very divisive. Um, and I can understand why that's the case, but I don't know because I haven't played Final Fantasy 14 for more than a couple hours, and quite frankly, I don't intend to. Um, it's Fortnite. If you need me to explain to you what Fortnite is, then you're either very young, get out of here, child, like little 5-year-old child who shouldn't be on this website, or you're very old, in which case, hi, how did you find me? Um, it's Fortnite. They keep doing stuff. Helldivers 2. I like Helldivers 2. I would certainly like this to win. I doubt it will. Helldivers 2. Boy, did they make some choices, and maybe some of those were not the right choices. Helldivers 2 is a game that got incredibly popular out of nowhere and then proceeded to make every single wrong decision for like 6 straight months. It is really genuinely astounding how out of touch the developers of this game are with their audience. And I don't know if that's deserving of a prize. That said, the last 2 months, they have put a lot of effort into fixing their game, and I don't mean fixing bugs, I mean fixing choices that they made in game design. And I have heard from people who were very into this game and still are that all of those changes have been good. So maybe that is deserving of a prize. It's difficult to say, but I don't, at the end of the day, I don't think a game should be damned for making a few 6 months of bad decisions one time. They have proven that they are willing to do better and improve. And also fuck Sony. Like, there was that whole thing with requiring online, and like through the actions of many, they showed Sony that they wouldn't have it, and Sony said, all right, you get this one, but never again. So enjoy that while it lasts, kids, because you're not going to get that twice. Yeah, it's hard to say. I certainly like Helldivers 2 more than anything else on this list. Is it deserving of best ongoing? I'm not sure. Maybe it's Fortnite again. Who knows? Best community support. Hey, Baldur's Gate 3, what are you doing in the 2024 Game of the Year list? Oh, just collecting more trophies. Real talk, though, Baldur's Gate 3 has done a shitload of work post-release for the cost of absolutely fucking nothing. It is insane how much work, how many characters, how much story, how many things they have continued to put into this game for the low, low price of fuck all. And I think that is very worthy of praise. Final Fantasy, people like it. I don't know if the complaints this year are indicative of bad community support so much as, maybe less than stellar writing. Fortnite, Helldivers 2. Please see my previous comments on Helldivers 2. It was very much, if this were happening 3 months ago, there would be absolute shock that this is even on this list for just pissing all over their fan base for 6 straight months. But like I said earlier, and like Candle has said, they have improved greatly recently. Sadly, I don't think you beat Baldur's Gate 3 in the amount of cool shit for free that you're giving out category. And No Man's Sky is a game that I don't hear about because I go out of my way to not hear about it. But I ain't heard anyone say anything bad about No Man's Sky in a long time. So, what did they do this year? I don't know. But if you want to get in a fight with who gives people more shit for free, it is a genuinely tough decision between No Man's Sky and Baldur's Gate 3. I certainly like Baldur's Gate 3 more, but that's because No Man's Sky is just not my kind of game. So one of those two, you guys can fight it out. I don't know. Best independent game. This is a category that Pickles in particular and I have fought over many a times over many a year for the definition of independent video game and what it means to be an independent video game. Now let us read the definition of this category verbatim. For outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher's system. I wouldn't say actually fought, but we have had conversations, disagreements. Like Candle has said, last year's was particularly controversial. It could be argued that not a single game in the indie category was an indie game. Thankfully, I do not believe that is the case this year. It's not nearly as bad as it was last year, but I really want to highlight outside the traditional publisher system. Annapurna Interactive is a publisher. Devolver is a publisher. Big Mode is a publisher. I'm not entirely sure if PlayStack is a publisher. Let's Google them now. PlayStack London? Game publishing, development, and marketing. Oh, I was really hoping for the Google. I don't want your Google merchant page. What the fuck? Let's see what other games they've published. Hey, Rise of the Golden Idol's great. Go play that. I don't think they published it, but go play it. Oh, did they publish it? Okay, go play Rise of the Golden Idol. It's great. Okay. PlayStack is a publisher. 4 out of 5 games on this list have a publisher. They are not made outside of the traditional publisher system. That said, there's a lot more to an indie game than a publisher. Whether I like it or not, these games all embody the spirit of an indie game. And I just may have to die on my little hill. Animal Well was a very interesting game that I am very happy I did not pay money to play. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it is very cool and ambitious. There are people who really like this game, and to describe what this game is would be a betrayal of it. That said, I don't think it was worth its price tag at release. Get it on sale. Balatro. You want to talk about an indie-ass game? What if we just added some shit to poker? That's an indie game, baby. Very likely winning this category. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is a game that I played this year. It is a really fun puzzle game. It's not perfect. I'd say its biggest problem is probably with its controls. This game, I don't know if it released on iPhones, but this game reeks of this is a phone game because there is literally one button. You can move and you can one button. That's 50% less buttons than UFO 50, but we'll get to that in a minute. And while that gameplay design is very good for a phone, it sucks ass when you're playing on a real video game console. And that was a genuine detriment to the enjoyment I had with what is otherwise a really, really interesting and fun and good puzzle game. If you like puzzle games, go play Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Never played it. There you go. UFO 50 is a game that I'm still playing. I haven't even played all 50 games yet, mostly because I've been thinking about streaming one of them. I was thinking about doing that today, but that's probably not going to happen because Papa's got to make dinner later. Do you want to talk about value for money? You want to talk about the polar opposite of Animal Well in that category? This is a fantastic set of 50. This is not a game. This is 50 games. If you want to be a dick, you could say this is a really good set of 25 games and 25 demos. UFO 50 is fantastic. If you want variety flying out of your ass, go buy UFO 50. Can we just give a category to Mooncat? Pickles, I don't know about you, but when I do my game of the year, there is going to be an entire category of UFO 50, and you can bet Mooncat will be high on that list. Mooncat's great. Go play Mooncat. I still haven't even 100%ed Mooncat. But aside from being great value for money, I think UFO 50 is a fantastic video game. Whether you're looking at any one particular game or the package as a whole, it is incredibly well made. It's incredibly stylish, and it has 2 buttons, which is 100% more buttons than Lorelei. Anyway, best debut indie game. Now here, there is not a single indie game in the group, but we've already died on that hill, so let's continue. Mooncat is a bastard of a game, it sure is. So really the only difference between debut indie and indie is we had to sub out UFO 50 because that was made by people who made hit indie games before. I think this is a fight between Animal Well and Balatro, and I think more people have played Balatro and like Balatro. I think Balatro wins this. Animal Well is one hell of a first video game to put out. It is a good game. It is an interesting game. It does some cool new shit. It does some shit you may have seen before. But who am I to say that when Balatro is poker with Isaac stuff? They're both great games. I like Balatro more, so therefore I want it to win. I've heard people say that they like Manor Lords. Manor Lords is a game that is not for me. I would rather punch myself in the dick than play Manor Lords. That is not an indictment of Manor Lord's quality. It is just not my type of game. Pacific Drive is an interesting game from what I've seen. If you like roguelike car driving, check out Pacific Drive. The Plucky Squire is a game that I said I was going to stream, and that may be my first straight up lie. It looked really cool when it was first shown off, and then it came out, and I've heard kind of nothing, but boy, I wish this was a little less handholdy. I wish they had expanded upon the ideas a little bit more. And it seems like the game just kind of fell flat. I will make that decision for myself at some point, but that is kind of the overwhelming sentiment I have heard. So yeah, obviously Balatro for this one. Plucky Squire is a game that redeems Harmonite slightly. I liked Harmonite. I didn't play a lot of Harmonite, but I liked it. Best mobile game. Guys, wouldn't it be really, really, really funny if Hoyo spent a shit zillion dollars to lose to blackjack? I mean, poker. Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be so funny? Anyway, I don't know what the hell AFK Journey is. I'm sure it's fine. Please see my previous comments on Balatro. It's my mobile game of the year, I'll tell you that much. Pokemon trading card game Pocket just came out what feels like a week ago. Maybe it's been like 2 weeks, less than a month for sure. Where else am I going to talk about Pokemon TCG Pocket? Boy, did they figure out how to maximize cocaine addiction in the form of opening card packs. That said, I'm not really in love with the monetization system, but it's a mobile game. Who's in love with mobile game monetization? I will say the game has changed the gameplay of the Pokemon card game in multiple ways that I do not like. So in this game, there are no energy cards. You do not put any energy cards in your deck. Energy is generated automatically every turn. You get one every turn. In that aspect, it is no different from the card game. However, if you were to build a fire deck, you will always get fire energy. If you were to build a water deck, you always get water energy. If you were some asshole that wanted to play Dragonite and thus had to build a water electric deck, you will either get one water energy or one electric energy every turn, and you have no fucking say in which one it is. It is completely random. And yes, you will get 8 water energies in a row and get titanically fucked, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think that sucks. I know that putting energies or lands or resources in your deck in a card game is considered by many to be a necessary evil. They're great when you need them, and they fucking suck when you don't. But I think the system they have in this game is genuinely worse, and it punishes interesting multicolored deck construction, and that sucks. There's also some other changes. There's no more prize cards. I think that's fine. Prize cards were always a win more mechanic. And you're stuck at 3 bench Pokemon, and when you have 3 Pokemon knocked out, or less if you're using EXs, you lose the game. So the games are overall faster than a regular game of Pokemon. I really think they need to rethink that energy system, because it fucking sucks if you want to make a 2-color deck. Wuthering Waves is a game that I heard about and then stopped hearing about. It's my understanding that it is someone trying to muscle in on Hoyo's territory, and best of fucking luck. Zenless Zone Zero is a game that I have not played. Maybe if every other video game in the world exploded and there was nothing else, I would give it a shot, but there are too many goddamn games. That said, I hear it's very good. The people who play it really like it. One of my best friends absolutely loves this game. I just have too many other things I would rather be playing at the moment. So please vote for Balatro. It would be so funny if Balatro won. In addition to it being a good game worthy of Mobile Game of the Year, it would just be really funny. Thank you. Best VR AR. Best shit nobody played. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be so negative about this. VR has kind of proven to not be the future that so many people thought it would be. Is that because of the technology? Is that because of the support of the technology? Is it because of the price? Is it because of some combination of all of those? Who can fucking say? I have a VR headset. I don't regret buying it, but I sure as fuck ain't buying another one. I have not played a single one of these games. I have certainly seen ads for Asgard's Wrath 2. I have seen ads for Batman Arkham Shadow. I think it's a very bold choice to make Ratcatcher the main bad guy in a Batman game. Metal Hellsinger, I believe, is available in non-VR, and I don't know if this is a remake of Metro or if this is a standalone thing. Regardless, I do not think I have a leg to stand on in this category. Therefore, Batman. Best action game. The best game with action. Blacksmith Wukong. Maybe. It seems like a fun action game from what I've heard. I ain't played it yet. I think it's fucking crazy to put Call of Duty in the action game category. I think somebody wanted Call of Duty to be in more categories, so they threw it in here. At the end of the day, is shooting a gun not an action? Maybe, but I feel like that's what the shooter category is for, which we may or may not have this year, which might explain it. Like I said before, and it's just not a game that I've played. Oh no, I very purposefully said Blacksmith Wukong. But yes, I would like to see a monkey making swords for people. That would be great. Helldivers 2, again, I feel like more of a shoot game, but there's a lot of action going on in that game. Certainly fun. Stellar Blade is very much a traditional action game, and it is, again, on my list of games I would like to play. There sure are a lot of these in this category. I hear it's a good, fun action game. Oh, look, another game I haven't played, but it's on my list of games to play. Space Marine probably wins this. Yeah, it's got shooting, but it also has swords sometimes. So if we're gonna let guns into the action category, why not give it to Space Marine? If I get this for Christmas, you can bet your ass I'll be streaming it. But if I get a job, maybe I'll just buy it. Who can say? Yes, Space Marine. Best action adventure game. Now, for a very long time, and maybe even still, I never understood the delineation between action and action adventure. They all seemed so similar. You could very easily argue that Star Wars Outlaws or Prince of Persia are action games. Then I listened to an old man by the name of Jeff Gersman talk about the early years of video games when there was basically 3 types of video games. There was puzzle games, There was action games where you moved a character and shot things, and there were adventure games where you played as a pirate on a place called Monkey Island, and you clicked on stuff and you solved puzzles, and you sure as fuck didn't do anything in real time ever. And also you had an inventory. And action adventure sort of became the, hey, this is an action game because you're doing shit in real time, but you have an inventory. And while I think that definition is a little outdated, maybe it's not as outdated as I thought. And you had a skull named Murray, that's right. And you could not walk to the sun. That said, Astrobot does not have an inventory. Astrobot is a platformer, but best platformer ain't a category this year, so... my money's on it. Astrobot's the best game on this list. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a game that is on my list of games I'd like to play. And it's not funny haha. It's funny oh no if Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown were to win this, because that studio has been shuttered and those people had been fired. And boy, is it shitty that a Game of the Year contender doesn't have a studio anymore. Sometimes I hate this fucking industry. Hi-Fi Rush 2, let's go. Yeah, exactly. I hear it's a good game. I'd like to play it. I'm sorry, the price was a little too high and the environment you released in was a little too hot. I didn't play it. I'm sorry. Oh, that's my dog. All right, hang on. We'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. My dad needs a ride. So I will be ending this stream a little bit sooner than I originally intended. Maybe I just speed run through the rest of this shit. Silent Hill 2 I hear is good. Star Wars Outlaws is not a game I hear about. Echoes of Wisdom is a game that I played, and it is an interesting game, and I'm glad that I played it. I don't think I would call it deserving of an award. I think it's a little too simplistic. I think it needed a little bit more time in the oven, and it doesn't. It's just not quite. It was a game that was never made to be for me, and it's not really fair for me to judge it as such, but I really feel like it's a bit underwhelming. Astrobot, let's go. What are we on? Best action adventure. Oh, Lord. Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to call that a stopping point. We will pick this up tomorrow. I'll go through the rest of these tomorrow, and we'll talk about the Game Awards, and that'll be fun. I sure hope. Yeah, so sorry to cut things off. Sorry if you were looking forward to content creator of the year. I promise I will talk about that category. Let's Does back button not work? Oh no, it just doesn't refresh the page because this is such a wonderful website. Cool, whatever. Yeah, so that's going to do it for today. Thank y'all for coming to this impromptu chat stream. I really genuinely was not expecting anyone to show up, and I am really very happy that y'all did, and I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, actual video games will be soon, so come by tomorrow if you want to see some video games be played. Have a good rest of your night. Have a good rest of your week if I don't see ya. Thank you and goodbye.